Welcome to Lift Your Legacy. My name is Jacob Rupp, father, husband, and rabbi. And each week we bring you an inspiring person or message to help you unlock your inner potential and create change that will impact the future. Thank you for listening, and let's get to it. Thank you so much for listening. Just a little bit of housekeeping. If you are enjoying this program, if you are getting benefit from the content, from the guests, please tell somebody else about it. Please share it on your social media platform or channels. By you subscribing, by others subscribing, it moves us up the ranking in iTunes, and more people can find out about the amazing guests and the amazing perspectives that we are sharing on a weekly basis. And there are always advertising and sponsorship opportunities available. Please don't hesitate to reach out to Rabbi Rupp, RABBIRUPP @gmail.com. And if you'd like to support the show, we have a PayPal that's associated with the same email address where any of your donations would be greatly appreciated. Thank you so much. I'm so excited today to have someone that has literally been involved in changing thousands and thousands of people's lives around the world. Rabbi Lazar Brody, who translated the unbelievably popular Garden of Emunah and all of the subsequent works that came out, as well as has written many books on his own, is someone that is really an anomaly in the Jewish world. Besides the awesome story he has about coming to Israel and serving for 19 years in the IDF in combat units and being a rabbi in the prison system in Israel, Rabbi Brody is a prolific author, prolific speaker, musician, and someone who is bringing this message of Emunah. And we go into what exactly that means and how we can develop that more ourselves to audiences around the world. He also speaks in this specific interview to people who are involved in teaching others, and others being involved in Jewish outreach, which we call kiruv, which literally means to bring close. So it's very interesting for those of us in the field who are actively working on trying to make Judaism more relevant and provide more information for Jewish people and non-Jewish people about what Judaism is, what the Torah is, and what having a relationship with God is. So there's a lot for everybody in this interview. I'm so excited, and with no further ado, Rabbi Brody. Rabbi Brody, could you please give us some information about how you came to your current position within Breslov, your whole journey to Breslov, and what made you who you are today?
Okay, first of all, you have to know that I planned nothing. I had completely different plans for myself and my life, and Hashem took care of everything. I did not initiate a single thing. People know I'm a Baal Tshuva, and I came to Eretz Yisrael. I'm a graduate in agriculture from the University of Maryland. I was a Moshavnik in Eretz Yisrael. I was in the IDF for 29 years, 19 years as in the combat unit, a good combat unit, and 10 years as a military chaplain. I made tshuva in the Lebanon War in 1982, the first Lebanon War. And when I came home from there, I went into 9-10 years total Torah immersion. I was in the Rabbinical Seminar at Eshet Torah, Rabbinical Yeshiva, and I became ordained not only by Rabbi Noach Weinberg, but Rav Kulitz, who was then the head rabbi of Yerushalayim, and Menachem Goldberg, the son-in-law of Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach. And my first task as a rabbi, I was a rabbi in a prison in Israel, in the prison system. And they took me in a prison system because it's a rough place to work. And the fact that, I had been in Bristol, been in the combat unit, and knew what the score was. After 3 years later, I was completely drained, couldn't continue. So I came back to Ashdod, and I had been interested in Rabbi Nachman and theoretical. And once I was in the base midrash and learning, and there were three young Sephardi guys, and they're learning Rabbi Nachman's books. And I said, okay, guys, can I sit down with you? I said, come on. So we sat down, we started learning together. And from learning, I started teaching. And the 3 guys became 4 guys, became 5 guys, and it was a little class in Rabbi Nachman's Torahs. In the meanwhile, I had met one of the ideological leaders of the Breslov movement in Israel, Rabbi Weitzhandler. He passed away a couple of years ago at a young age. Okay, Rabbi Avram Weitzhandler, and he really taught me a lot about Rabbi Nachman and Breslover movement. Okay, but I was still kind of on the outside, sitting on the fences. I loved Rabbi Nachman's ideas, but I wasn't a card-carrying Breslover. I wasn't a member of the community or anything like that. Meanwhile, it turned out that the guys I was teaching in this little Breslov class in Ashdod, they were students of Rabbi Shalom Arush in Yerushalayim. So they went to Rabbi Shalom, and they said, there's this American Baal Tshuva who was in the army, and he reminds us a lot about you, okay? That he's got an ordination from Eshet Torah. Rav Arush was just about to open up a rabbinical program in Ashdod, a rabbinical kollel in Ashdod for Balei Tshuvas. This was idea. The same idea that Reb Noach Weinberg Zatzal did for American BTs in Yerushalayim with the Smicha program. Rav Arush got the idea to do for Sephardi Balei Tshuvas in Ashdod. So he said to this one guy, that Yuval Dan, who was a student, he says, well, bring this Brody guy to Yerushalayim. He brought me to Yerushalayim. I met the Rav. It was love at first sight. This was 20 years ago. And since then, it was unbelievable. So what happened? We opened up the kollel. This is like a Reb Levi Yitzchak or Berdichev story. This is really great. You remember Minister Lapid's father, Tommy Lapid, the anti-religious party, this and that? Well, we had a nice little kollel, and it was great in Ruchnius, Jacob, but it was weak in Gashmias. The guys they were learning Smicha, and for that it was worth it, but they were getting about 1,100 shekels a month, okay? They were getting 350 from the kollel and 750 from the government. So Tommy Lapid comes and he said, made all these criterion that nobody could stand, all right? And he knocked down a mess of kollel. One of the kollel that got knocked down was our kollel. So we didn't get government money anymore. It was knocked down. The guy says, we can't support families for 350 shekels a month. So the kollel fizzed. And I was at home. In addition to, I'm also a soifer and a boydek. And so I was for Parnassa. I was writing tefillin at night, learning in the day. Okay. Meanwhile, Rav Shalom writes his first book, and we are good friends. And he said, "Let's do me a favor. I want you to proofread my book, because my Torah Hebrew is just as good as my English. Hebrew grammar and Torah just as good as my English. Been in Eretz Yisrael since I was 21, and today I'm 68. So you're talking about 2/3 of my adult life. I've been here. 2/3 of my life I've been here. Baruch Hashem. Anyway, Rav Shalom, after the book was a big success, his first book about marriage, and then he wrote a second book, which is the Garden of Emunah. Okay, and I originally was the proofreader of the Hebrew Garden of Emunah before I translated. Then he got the idea. He said, "Lisa, why don't you translate the book?"
What was that like the first time you read the Garden of Emunah? What was it? Was you like, this is phenomenal? This is going to be like change the world?
Unbelievable. My eyes were open this wide. This was unbelievable. Jacob said, "Hey, here I was, an ordained rabbi. I didn't know a thing about Emunah. Okay, I had learned years. I'd finished at that time, I'd finished Shas already twice. Okay, I'd finished Shas already twice. Ordained rabbi, didn't know anything about Emunah. This was unbelievable. It was a showstopper. This is amazing. So we translated into English, all right? I have to tell you about a dream I had 6 months before that. Okay, when the clothes closed down, I have a dream. And I see this little guy in a dream. He's wearing a brown Hasidic suit from the 1800s, early 1800s. He's got tall black boots. And he's about maybe 5'5", dark hair, dark beard. He didn't identify himself, but I knew it was Rebbe Natan of Breslov, Reb Nosson, Rebbe Nachman's prime pupil. And he's shaking his finger at me, and he's warning me. And I said, what do I do? What's this guy threatening me? What did I do wrong? I mean, this is a dream. And he says, you should never leave Rav Shalom Arush. And I said, leave Rav Shalom Arush. The Kollel got closed down. I'm here. Okay, I'm proofing his book. He says, you're about to do a book with him that is going to break all concepts of sales in a Jewish book. And that's proof that this dream is true. And he left. All right. And then 6 months later was the Garden of Emunah, first in Hebrew. Then Rav Shalom says to me, he says, you know something? He says, well, what are you're sitting, okay, I appreciate your learning, sitting and write, Philin, come on, it's a waste of your time. You come to Yerushalayim, and we're going to go beyond Israel's borders. We're going to start spreading Emunah. So he says, I want you to translate the Garden of Emunah, and I want you to take my then there were cassette tapes, the beginning of CDs, and translate them into English. And this is what really it's nothing Lazar did. It's all Rav Shalom. Every success I have, all belongs to my teacher. All belongs to our teacher. It all belongs to him. Okay, it's not my success. It's all belongs to him. Because when I started making the CDs, they went crazy. When I started to translate the Garden of Emunah went off the charts. Okay, and then started the trips around the world and Emunah outreach and going to four corners and that's all. But that's all Hashem do. It's not my doing. Awesome privilege that Hashem chose me to be the English language mouthpiece for Rav Shalom, and who is the minister. I call him the minister of Emunah. Rav Shalom is the voice of Rabbi Nachman in this generation. Okay, that I got in another dream, categorically. But even so, Rav Shalom's insights into Emunah, he got directly from Hashem. He spent all the time, he talks to Hashem nonstop. This is a universal message, Jacob. Okay, we're not talking about Frumkeit. We're not talking about Badat's chickens. We're talking about every human being's personal relationship with Hashem. And one thing Rav Shalom always says, that this is the one mitzvah, since it's the first of the Noahide mitzvahs, it's a mitzvah for all of humanity. So in other words, the way we can bring peace to the sane world and get along with one another is only by one thing, that's Emunah. And that's why he says, as long as we're active in spreading Emunah, this will save the world from blowing apart.
What did you perceive in your own life prior to being involved with Rabbi Arush? Were you missing something? Did you feel like a certain longing that was fulfilled? Or did you not realize that you had this kind of hole in your Jewish practice until you started learning about that?
I had a frustration when coming up through the ranks because, trying to find myself within Judaism. I don't think there are many places I've been to Hasidim, to Litvaks, to Sephardim. I've been to more flavors of Judaism than Baskin Robbins has in ice cream, okay? Everybody's got a little bit of the truth. That's what the Gemara says, that before Mashiach comes, I am at the crime, that the truth is going to be pieces by pieces. But I didn't find what really sits on my neshama. And I'm reading Hasidic books like Noam Elimelech and Kedushas Levi, Reb Levi Yitzchak Berdichev, and they all tell you one thing: you got to have a connection to a tzaddik. You got to have a connection to tzaddik. Okay, so how is a kid from Maryland, graduated Cal College, supposed to recognize who the tzaddik is? Okay, I can recognize a good soldier. I can recognize a good ball player. I can recognize a good athlete. Hey, this a tzaddik. Who's got the kelim? Who's got the tools to recognize a tzaddik? So what do? You pray to Hashem. For 9 years, I prayed to Hashem that I should find the right spiritual guide. 9 years. And I tried Rebbes, all kinds. I tried Mekubalim. I tried Rosh Yeshivas. Everyone, I learned from everyone. Mikol Malamdai Iskalti. I learned from all of them. Okay. But my Rav Muvhak, my own personal spiritual guide, that's Rav Shalom. And this was I got him out of prayer. I got him out of prayer. That's one thing. When anything you get from prayer is great. Anything that you get without prayer is detrimental. Why? Because if a person achieves something without prayer, He thinks, oh, kochi votzim yodi. He says, oh, the might of my right hand. It's my talent, okay? And I tell you, nothing I achieved is with talent, because here's the joke. And this, Hashem is laughing at the world. Lazar Brody doesn't have any talent, okay? It's all desire, and it's all a lot of prayer, but no talent. And it's the light I get from my teacher. But there's an advantage, okay, since I know that I have no talent. It was the same way in the Army. Same way in the Army. In the Army, I was always the weakest guy in the unit. And in varsity athletics, I was always the weakest guy. But when it came to desire, left everybody behind. So you could say it's a joke. My whole life, it's a joke. It's a joke. Hashem's laughing at everybody. But what you could do, if whatever I do, anybody could do 3 times over and probably better.
So how does a person begin this process, and what does it look like? And if you can go back to when you were sort of starting out, had you done it differently, I guess, had you started with your relationship with Rav Arush as opposed to sort of teaching your own, reading of Rav Nachman, how would you have done it differently to get yourself started?
It was completely different, because even in my own reading of Rav Nachman, before I met Rav Arush, I was by 3 other Breslev Talmidei Chachamim, the guys who mamash considered tzaddikim. And, but it didn't last. It got knocked down. It didn't last. I had to think about personal prayer. He'd pull the dude. Okay, for a while, and then that got knocked down. It only stuck with me through Rav Arush when I got it with the emunah. Okay, when all this came with the emunah, that this is a facilitation for emunah, then it stuck. Okay, this is what you need for your emunah. But I got it without the emunah, then it was like this in Hebrew, me'asafa chutza. It was external. I didn't internalize it. And I'm telling you, Jacob, people contact me. This is really interesting. And they say, Rabbi Lazar, tell us, how can we have a kiruv career? I say, I don't know. I said, what do you mean you don't know? Oh, you don't want to share with us? I said, you know something? I'll bet you. If you do what I did, then you'll be 3 times as successful as I am. Okay. So go. You just start praying to Hashem. Hashem, I want to bring human beings close to you. Okay? But the one thing is, the ball game has got to be about Hashem. In other words, as soon as a person puts his own vested interests, his own prestige, his own fame and fortune, anything that is a personal angle, a negia, then it falls down. Okay? Because Hashem loves us so much, Hashem won't let a guy be successful in Kiruv if it's going to bring him to arrogance. And it's a big test. When you're giving a lecture in Brooklyn College and there's 2,300 people there, and you're at the microphone and after the lecture, and you got people standing in line and waiting for blessings. So this is a big test to remember, it's all my Rav. I'm nothing. Okay, remember who you are, Lazar? Okay, you got a degree in milking cows and feeding chickens. That's who you are. Okay, remember who you are? All right, this and that. So, for guys, I'm telling you, we need people in Kiruv. Because there's so many people, not just Jews, not just Jews. We got to be Makar of the whole world to Hashem. And people say, where do you get that from? We say it 3 times a day in Aleinu. V'chol b'nei basal yuku b'shmecha. Okay, how's that supposed to happen? It means that Jacob and Lazar and everybody else got to roll up our sleeves and make it happen. All right, but to make it happen, we got to make it that this is for you, Hashem. This is for you, Hashem. Like we say, Lo lanu Hashem, Lo lanu. That the game is not about us, Hashem. Kim l'shimcha ten kavod. That for your name it should be honored. That's really the key. That's really the key. So I would say a person needs a connection to a big tzaddik and a Talmid Chacham, because that's the dream of Jacob's ladder. You go up the ladder, you're connected to a higher authority, and he's connected to a higher authority. People say, how do I pick a Rav? I said, first of all, find out who his Rav is. Okay? If he's not connected to a Rav, then you got a problem. And, that's the way it goes. That's Jacob's ladder. We get connected all the way up. So once I gave Rav Shalom my idea about Jacob's ladder, and he said to me, you know something about Jacob's ladder, Lazar? He says, you're right. But what's the holiest rung? And I said, naturally, the top ones that we get up to Moses, and Moses takes you to Hashem. He says, no, it's the bottom rung, the person that gives the word of Emunah to the guy in the street, the person that passes out an Emunah pamphlet or Emunah CD or pats a guy in the back, he is the most holy of the whole rung. Even holy because he's the one that gets the final word of Hashem in the street. Okay, that's the importance of Kiruv.
Rabbi, in your own life and in the lives of the people to whom you've been involved with, what are some of the important things to know as you're trying to take the first steps in incorporating more Emunah in your life?
Okay, the first thing you have to know is who the real you are. Okay, it's not the flesh and blood. And this changes a person's whole orientation to life, to eating, to working out, to everything. Now, what does Western society say? Western society says you is the flesh and blood. So therefore, everybody's suffering from depression because every day you get closer where your body's going to become fertilizer. It's going to go back to being nitrogen, potassium, and phosphate into the ground. Okay, so of course that's depressing. But when you change your outlook and that your body houses the soul and the real you is the soul inside, it's the spiritual level, then all of a sudden your orientation is different, okay? You're still eating good, and you still have to take care. We got the Rambam, and you're still working out. It's a mitzvah to stay in good shape, but you're doing that because your body houses the soul, okay? That's the one thing. So first thing you have to know is you is the soul. Now you're optimistic because your soul is a tiny part of Hashem, like the Zohar tells us, Chelek Elok Mima'al, which means just like Hashem's eternal, you're now eternal. Rabbi Nachman says there's no such thing as death, where if you leave in the world a child, and even if you don't have children, you leave a student or somebody who you've touched and somebody that you've strengthened, you've taught them about Emunah, you've taught something in life. Okay, this is part of your nefesh. This is part of you. Stays alive in the world. You don't leave. This stays alive in the world. And, just now, if I do a little trick, think back when you were in the first grade, Jacob. Okay, close your eyes and where you're born and who your first grade teacher is. Now, open your eyes real quick. Okay, when I do that, okay, I've just traveled 60 years. I've gone all the way from Israel back to the United States and all the way back. This is what the neshama could do. Comes and goes, it's free. What we did, we flipped the body out and did a little trick and flicked in the neshama. Your brain, your memory, this is all part of neshama, okay? And this is the power of neshama, all right? So first, now what we're going to do, we're going to change priorities in life, all right? We're going to make the neshama first priority and the body secondary priority, and you can still have a good time. I'm not talking about religion. I'm not talking about hell, fire, and brimstone, Yiddish. We're talking about something completely different, okay? And I'm still take you to the gym, and still work out with you, and still going to have her go to the Glad Kosher Steak restaurant, have a good steak meal, but it's completely different. Our thing, we're taking care of the body because the body houses the neshama, and now we're going to do good things for the neshama. What's the good thing for the neshama? We're going to learn Emunah. Wow. You know what Emunah teaches? Emunah teaches that Hashem has only one son in the world. His name is Rabbi Jacob Rook. And nobody in the world can do what Rabbi Jacob Rook can do, which means, it's mind-boggling. The world can't exist without Rabbi Jacob. Can you believe that? Believe that? Because to say otherwise means that Hashem does something without a reason. No such thing. So if Hashem created Rabbi Jacob Rook and put him on the world and decided to put him in California, it means that the state of California, the Jewish people, the entire world cannot exist without him. Okay, there's your challenge, my brother. All right, now look at a smile on his face. And that stops and just thinks about that. He's empowered. Man, go get it. Okay, so what's my mission? What do I need to do? How do I do the mission? Okay, all right, I'll tell you the mission. You're a car or you're a machine, and you don't know whether you're a car, you're a tractor, or an airplane. So what do? Go to the design engineer that created you. What am I supposed to do? He writes, okay, here's exactly what you're supposed to do. So now you go to design engineer. So we're going to circumvent all of religion and all of clergymen and all of everyone. And guess what we're going to do? We're going to have a direct relationship with Hashem. That's Emunah. In a nutshell, boom. And everything else is commentary. Okay, so look what it does. You're no longer jealous of anybody because you've got your own tools. You've got your own mission in life. You're no longer depressed because you got a big challenge to do. You fly out of bed in the morning. You get everything. Emunah, it's everything. It makes you a better husband, a better father, a better human being. Okay, you don't have any, you can love every human being because you can see the good in every other human being. And he's also got that divine soul in him. He's also got his mission. Okay, and you respect every person. It doesn't matter whether he's the mailman, the trash man, or the president of the United States. Okay, let's see the president of the United States, how long he's going to live in the White House if the bathroom is clogged and there's no plumber. So all of a sudden, the president can't function if there's not a good plumber in town, in the White House. Everybody, there's no such thing, and people have to realize this way they respect other people. Emunah wipes out arrogance. It wipes out anger. It makes peace in the world. I said in my broadcast last night, it's the only chance in the world for peace is to sit down. My dream would be that what we're talking about, I could sit down at a round table and have Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un and President Trump and Ayatollah Khomeini and MBD from Saudi Arabia, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, and tell them to say, listen, guys, there's only one God. There's only one God. And there's only Emunah. And get everybody agree on that. Okay, now let's decide to make order in the world. Okay, but this is peace in the world. This is real peace in the world. So if it's peace in the world, it's certainly be peace in yourself. And you're going to find yourself. And this is what religion doesn't teach. You take from Jewish people and they grow up, and yeshivas, they're frumkeit and do this and do that. They don't teach Emunah. Why? And the kid says, why? Kid says, why? Let's look, okay, let's get down to the nitty gritty. And it's something you know as well as I do, because you've got 2 hands and 2 feet in Kiruv. I sometimes feel frustrated in Kiruv. Well, I feel like, the Ukrainian farmer who's got a burlap sack and there's a hole, all right? There's a hole in the sack. So he's in his potato field and he takes it's called in Russia a kartofche. He takes a kartofche, puts it in the bag, and another one falls out. Okay, so here we're being Makarev people, and we're bringing them close to observant Judaism. And meanwhile, in Borough Park and in Flatbush and in Bnei Brak and in Yerushalayim, kids are falling off the derech. They're falling under influence of all types of things because they don't know Emunah. They don't know Emunah. So they think what they see on the smartphone is neat, and what they see in what the neighbor's kid is doing is neat, but they don't realize. They don't realize Emunah. Why? Because if you don't have Emunah, you don't have Judaism at all. It's the first. Imagine a check where you've got all these zeros, but you don't have a 1 on the left side of the check. Okay, so if you got 9 zeros, you got a 1, you're flying. You got to check. But if there's not the 1, then what's all the zeros? It's nothing. That's Emunah.
What do you feel is the biggest challenge in our generation? Is it the ego? Is it the fact, you mentioned that it's not necessarily taught or it's not necessarily focused on? If you're going to isolate one major issue or a couple of major pitfalls that a person has going and incorporating this into their life, what would those be?
Western education, Western orientation. Do your own thing. Do me. I, be. I'm the most important. I override anything. I override God. I override the Torah. I'm whatever I decide that I'm going to be. Whether it's going to be, and this is not politically correct. All the guys. It doesn't matter with a lie. It doesn't matter everything. people make all these definitions and they destroy the family unit and they destroy who they are, and they're so confused. And the kids today, they don't know, what am I, a boy, I'm a girl, I'm a transgender, who am I? Okay, why? Because I want to decide. But wait a second, maybe there's a higher authority that decided you're a boy to do your mission, you're a girl to do your mission. It's from the Torah. So it means putting your ego aside. And let's say, okay, you're brilliant. You've got a 140 IQ. You're brilliant. IQ is built, every 10 points of IQ is one standard deviation above the average. 100 is average. So that means you're 4 standard deviations, You're the top 1/10 of the 1%. All right, but you're still limited. It's the simple Rabbi Nachman's story of the clever one and the simple one. The moment you put your ego aside and you plug into divine ego, your potential is unlimited. It's unlimited. So it's the Western education that's put people into boxes. And look what happened to people with the Western education. It's that people are, it used to be when we were kids, it was climbing trees and playing ball games and going out with girls. Now it's just, function, the thumbs and the thumb messages, and people can't communicate, because what do they communicate with? A thumbs up or with a colon and a parentheses, a smile, all types of things that don't know how to properly communicate. And it's sick. It's sick. It's Western society, the ego orientation means that the only way you could feel better is if you're better than someone else. That's the only way you can feel good. So to feel better than someone else and you don't know your own talents, it means you have to step on other people. All of social media is built on crushing other people. How many suicides has Facebook brought? Okay, Mr. Zuckerman or Zuckerberg, whatever your name is, I'll go up to the Beis Din and look what your invention has done. How many young kids? It used to be when we were kids, they had slam books. Do you remember what a slam book was?
I don't think so.
Okay, a notebook. They had a little notebook, and then there was a name of every kid on the class, and would pass around announcement. Everybody would write what they thought about this kid. Okay, and there was tons of Lashon Hara. All right, so now you got Lashon Hara with 30 people. When you say something on Facebook about somebody and you press a button, okay, what would the Chofetz Chaim is turning around his grave? Doesn't know what to do. It's millions of people see and hear the true, not true. We have a Jewish law. You have two witnesses, go to a Beis Din. All these things that are scandals, this and that. I'm not protecting anybody scandalous, chas v'sholom. Okay, but if somebody did something wrong, either go to the police or file a complaint or take two witnesses and go to the Beis Din and say, this guy's a criminal, now nail him. All right, but no, this guy's not convicted, not anything. But the old newspapers, they bash him, they this, they that. Okay, how come he's not in jail? All right, where's the American law of innocent until proven guilty? That's all out the window. And that's the modern ego-oriented education that has changed all this. Ego, I have my right. Doesn't matter if it completely tramples another person's rights. Emunah is complete opposite. Okay, you've got your rights, but I am not allowed to touch the hair on the head of a single human being. Ona'at dvarim. I am not allowed to cause anguish. Causing anguish to another human being is worse than eating pork. If a person eats pork, sorry Hashem, finished. You did tshuva, finished. But look at the laws of Yom Kippur. If a person hurts another person, oh man, Hashem says, don't even bother. Go play golf. You're wasting your time in shul until you go and placate the other person and ask forgiveness, etc., etc. All right. So what does a guy do when he says something bad about somebody on social media? Now go and try and find. It's impossible. Western education, it's all anti-emunah. Western education, it's all anti-emunah. It's all ego. It's all good. And now you're worried, how come nobody does cheshbon nefesh? Nobody does a self-assessment? Hey, America, how come you got all these serial killers? How come a kid comes to school in California with a gun and all of a sudden shoots 15 other kids? How come? Maybe this kid somebody said something about him on social media. He's going to get back at the whole world. Why? Because his name was black in front of the whole world. All the kind of stuff. Whoever heard about these things? Nobody does cheshbon nefesh. Nobody does. Chovot alavavot. And when people say it's not Breslover shtick to do tshuva every day, talk to Hashem every day. It's chovet alavavot. It's rishonim. Everybody talks about it. Chofetz Chaim talks about it. Okay, what did I do in the last 24 hours? That's my personal relationship with Hashem. When I have a personal relationship with Hashem, I'm a better human being. I make the world a better place. And imagine if everybody were out to look for a personal relationship with Hashem. And that means your personal relationship with Hashem, not that you're trying to make somebody else like you. No, this is not ISIS, where we want to capture the whole world for Islam. No. It's not living by the sword. No way. That's dark side. But here's the whole thing. How do you win that war? You win that war when, this Rebbe, this from the concept from the Zohar. If the dark side Emunah is grade 97, then our light side Emunah has to be grade 98 to defeat them. Okay. There you go.
Final question. In all of the work that you've done, I know it's very exciting that you put out a fitness program, and initially it was the Garden Mood, now there's going to Shalom Bayis and Parnassa and all of these different areas. What do you recommend for the person that's getting started and a person that wants to grow in this area of the work that you've done, of the work that your Rebbe's done, of the work that's currently coming out? What's the first step? And is there, in all of these different areas, is it one core message, or does a person need to be shown how this applies to every single component of their life?
Okay, here's the thing. First of all, and this is for your vested interest, whoever's listening to us, Jacob, get a book called The Trail to Tranquility and feel good about yourself. First, feel good about yourself. If you don't feel good about yourself, then you can't feel good about anyone else. All right, Trail to Tranquility, bring you some inner peace. Once you read that, now read the Garden of Emunah. Let's read about what Emunah is. Okay. Then the next thing, I'm not going to tell anybody about kashrut or about Shabbat or about anything else. All I want you to do is to connect with Hashem. Once you connect with Hashem, and I don't care if you're Jewish or whatever you are, because the mitzvah's Emunah is for all of humanity. All right, you connect with the Almighty and have your own personal relationship with Him. Once you do that, He's going to take you where you need to go. Okay, and Lazar's down the road. That's it. I'm just going to take the lost child home to Daddy. Okay, and that's it. That's the first step. First thing, start with the Trail of Tranquility. All right, feel good about yourself, because society is tearing everybody down. If you don't make $3 million a year, you're nothing. If you're not an Olympic gold medalist, you're nothing. You know, all this type of stuff. And what we spoke about, but you're an individual. You're Hashem's only child. Okay, you're only going to be an Olympic gold medalist if Hashem wants you to. And you're only going to be a millionaire if Hashem wants you to. But just because you're not that, or you're not that, or you're not Miss America or Miss California, that doesn't mean you're not a wonderful person. Okay? And if someone doesn't see the beauty in you, then they're looking at your body and not at your soul. And if you don't see the beauty in yourself, then you don't know yourself. Okay? The Trail to Tranquility helps you see the beauty in yourself. All right? If that's too difficult for you, I'd make it easier. There's a little book called 6 Days to the Top. 6 Days to the Top. You get on the Breast of Israel website. It's a book where you could probably finish it. You could finish it on a flight between LA and New York. Okay, and get that book and you feel good about yourself. Really feel good about yourself. And the rest of it shows you how to connect. It's a fast thing where a person doesn't have patience for everything else. Okay, 6 Days to the Top by Lazar Brody. All right, and this is what I wrote to answer that question. Okay, we didn't plan this ahead of time.
I know.
We didn't plan this. I know we must have played on the same team. Okay.
Something like that. Something like that. Okay,
No,
Rabbi, thank you so much for your time. I greatly appreciate it. There you have it, folks, another inspiring episode. If you enjoyed this, I ask you to please share this with your friends and to like us over on Rabbi Rupp through Facebook or on YouTube. And the more that we're able to get these important messages out, the more that we can really make an impact in the world. So I encourage you, please, to stay tuned. We have a ton of amazing speakers coming up, and also to tell your friends about it. Thank you very much.